There are many cameras in the $1,500 range, and probably all of them will give you more. Better ergonomics, better low light performance, better autofocus, better weather sealing, longer battery life, ability to change lenses, and much, much more. So for $1,500, you can buy yourself a pretty decent camera, or a camera that fits in your pocket, but does significantly less. So the question is, why would anyone choose the inferior tiny Ricoh over any other camera? The answer might surprise you, but people buy that camera for two reasons. First is following an online trend. This camera is quite trendy today. And the second is that that camera makes more sense for them and helps them to solve a particular problem. Photography is not always about technical specs or how the camera can perform. There is more to it. But before we get into it, just a quick disclaimer. This camera is mine. Ricoh did not send it to me or sponsored me in any way. I paid for it. Actually, this is my second GR. The first one was GR III, which I sold about 2 years ago. But there was always this feeling of regret, someone was missing, so I was quite excited to get this new one. The GR III did some great work for me in China, Thailand, Egypt, and Morocco. In places where big cameras could potentially scare the people around, the little GR was there for me. One of the major problems that this camera solves is friction. You know, most photographers don't have a camera problem, they have a friction problem. Usually their camera is too big, too heavy, too precious, or too complicated, so it just stays at home. I can often see that for many photographers who have the photography in their life, they don't want that friction. It is very easy to give up on the camera when you're going out with friends or just for a short walk. Carrying something large on your neck or even requiring a bag immediately pushes you off from taking the camera with you. The Ricoh GR solves exactly that problem. It removes choice and friction and excuses. You just put it in your pocket and you're ready to go. And yes, this is a camera that I carry in my jeans pocket and I can trust it to produce decent quality images. Actually, it's a pocket powerhouse. It packs a APS-C size sensor, and even that, it has a lot of limitation. It still performs better and gives you more than anything else this size. So what the GR4 actually is? The Ricoh GR4 is a limiting camera. It is limited by its size, but also by design. This is a 28mm focal length. The lens is fixed. There is no viewfinder. You can buy something to put on top of it, but it's not very convenient and just makes the camera less pocketable. The autofocus is okayish, but definitely not great. I just use a single point or snap focus. There is a lot of grain when you go higher in ISO. I would say usable ISO is up to 3200, or you can even push it to 6400, but then you will have to take a lot of the noise in post. And when you listen to all this, you'd say to yourself, shit, like this cost $1,500, but it's not all that bad. Let's see where it actually does shine. The startup time is amazing. You press the power button and the camera is ready almost instantly. You can operate it with one hand. The menus and the designs are made in such a way that you don't need two hands to change settings. It has an integrated ND filter which can help you in a very sunny days or if you want to capture motion blurred shots midday. It has a 6-stop image stabilization. The design of the camera is to be used with one hand, which kind of makes you shooting from an unstable position, and when you press the button, it shakes the camera. The IBIS is doing a great job to compensate all that and also allows you to shoot in low light. The camera has leaf shutter, which makes it very silent. In most of the other cameras, when you switch to silent shooting mode, you're using your electronic shutter, which can introduce bending with fast-moving objects, and artificial light can create these visible lines in the image. The leaf shutter design eliminates all these issues. In addition to that, you can use any shutter speed with flash. The files out of this little Ricoh come out very sharp, with a lot of clarity. Fujifilm files look very soft in comparison. The internal memory is something that I like a lot. You have about 1000 raw files until you run out of space. So you don't need to think about having your memory card with you. The inner memory is actually the memory that I recommend using first, but I will touch on this a little bit later. In terms of ergonomics and design, they have removed the dial on the pad. I personally loved it. It was very useful to scroll over photos and play with exposure compensation. But as I understand, many people reported it to stop working after some time. I guess that was the reason to remove it. They have added this thumb plus-minus rocker for instant exposure compensation. It's the fastest way to adjust for tricky lighting without diving into menus. But I had some issues with it. Either my fingers are fat, but I found myself pressing on the minus button and intentionally way too often. I think thumb rest will solve this issue. I have ordered myself one. We'll see if I still have the issues with it. This thing used to be an adjustment lever and it has been changed to dial type. I think it's a good decision. You can press this dial to bring the quick menu up and you will have 5 customizable functions there. I think that is a very convenient way of managing these camera settings. I wish more companies would implement a similar solution to the quick menu. It's just brilliant. Some of you probably want to compare it with the previous version, the GR3. So what is actually different? Well, there is a new sensor, which is backside illuminated, and it's a slightly higher megapixel than the previous one. This means better low light performance and cleaner files at higher ISO. And while the high ISO images still don't look very good, I can see a clear improvement. The files are better than the GR3, but still noisier than, let's say, Fujifilm X100VI even. The camera is sharper than most of other crop sensor cameras. I don't know how they did it, but it is sharper. Maybe that's also the reason why the grain is so visible in higher ISO. Perhaps there was a preference towards details and clarity, but I'm not a sensor engineer, so I can't say that for sure. The 18.3mm f2.8 lens has been reconstructed with 7 elements in 5 groups, including 3 aspherical elements to improve edge-to-edge sharpness and reduce chromatic aberrations. The lens is very sharp. The GR4 comes with faster autofocus. They finally moved to a hybrid autofocus systems, which includes phase and contrast detection. It does things better, but as I have mentioned before, don't expect autofocus like in a full-size camera. The camera has a faster startup speed, now at 0.6 seconds vs 0.8. And to be honest, I don't see a difference in real life use. It's fast. The GR3 was fast enough. The GR4 is just tiny bit faster. The biggest are the hardware changes of the battery and storage. The new DB120 battery significantly bumps the amount of shots per charge. It gives you between 250 to 350 shots. But don't be overly excited. On a slow day of shooting, you will still want to have an extra battery with you and perhaps a power bank. If you're out for the whole day and you encounter a lot of photographic possibilities, I think that you will need 3 to 4 batteries and perhaps a triple charger. The triple charger is making charging much faster. Imagine charging each and every battery individually, just nightmare. My tip to save on the battery power would be to disable the Wi-Fi. It will help you preserve a lot of that juice. The next big hardware change is the integrated storage of 53 GB, which is hard not to like. They have changed the memory card from SD to micro SD, which probably helped to free some more space for the larger battery. What I found is that the micro SD write time is significantly slower, and when shooting fast, it had the camera stop responding. I had to take the battery out. It was completely stuck. That used to happen to me with the GR3 as well, and funnily enough, when I was recording some footage to include in this video, the camera got stuck again. But this time it wasn't because of the write time to the battery, it was because I was changing focusing point too quickly. I guess that mechanism that is moving around the focusing motor somehow does not respond well. So this is something for Ricoh GR to look at and try to solve. So far it has happened to me twice, and when I looked at the camera, I could see that the small bulb that is indicating that files are being written to the storage was blinking. I don't know what was exactly happening in the background, but the fact is that the camera got stuck and I couldn't take any additional shot until I took the battery out and put it again. I think that switching to the internal storage helps avoiding these kind of problems, but still it did happen to me even with the internal storage being prioritized as first. The next hardware change is a promise of better dust resistance. One of the biggest issues with the previous model was it was just like a Hoover. Dust was getting to the sensor. That is kind of a major issue, and actually the reason that I have sold my previous GR. Having the lens integrated, once the dust is sitting on the sensor, you can't really get it out. You can't open the camera by yourself and blow out the dust. Well, technically you can, but I wouldn't recommend it, unless you are very experienced with electronics. So to clean the sensor, you would need to look for a lab or send it to Ricoh, which didn't come cheap as well. So far, I can't confirm yet if there is an improvement. I hope there is, because the camera is often just in my pocket. That's what it's advertised to be, no? Pocketable camera. Time will show with that one. The GR comes with some unique settings that I haven't seen anywhere else. One of them are the settings for the program mode. You can set it up to normal, which I guess is the default P settings, which you will find in most of the cameras. Shallow, which will prioritize open aperture and shallow depth of field, and dipped, which will prioritize closed aperture and a larger depth of field. This is huge. You can really define what style you prefer and let the camera take care of the most of the other decisions for you. And even with that customization, at any moment you can override your exposure by turning one of the dials. Basically, it gives you manual flexibility with an automatic safety net. So how I use this camera? How I use the GR? First, I disable everything that I think that I don't need. Instant review slows you down in the shooting process. Face and eye detection autofocus. I use the back button focusing with spot. I found that using simple focusing method just works the fastest for me. I removed all the sounds. Volume, sound effects, I switched them all to off. We don't want the camera to trigger someone's attention, right? I have disabled autofocus assist light. It's that little light that turns on in the darker places to help the camera focusing. Having that on will just trigger someone's attention. It will just be like a small flashlight. You don't want that. You can turn off the green illumination on the power button to save battery. I did that. Disable Wi-Fi. I mentioned that before. Wi-Fi is used to copy files to your phone, but you don't really need it running all the time. It has huge impact on battery life. I'm still looking if there is a way to assign the Wi-Fi on and off on a shortcut button to just simplify this process. Also, I have turned off animations in the playback menu, which makes swapping through your photos feel faster. If you're shooting RAW, you can consider disabling noise reduction. I have set different program modes on my camera, U1, U2, and U3. U1 is shallow, U2 is deep, and U3 is normal, just to play with it. What I love about P mode is that it removes another friction, the need to decide what kind of exposure settings to use. I would normally shoot with manual plus auto ISO, that's how I work with any camera. But when I don't want to think, and yeah, that happens too, I will just use one of the program modes. I set the camera to shoot in RAW. Lightroom has profiles that very closely resemble the look of the JPEG files, so there is no need to shoot RAW in JPEG like I used to do in Fujifilm. I love the colors of the positive film, negative film, and the new cinema yellow and green profiles. They are all great for color. For black and white photography, I like the high contrast black and white. Now, I'm sure that many of you would consider this camera alongside with Fujifilm X100 series. So let me share my thoughts about that. While I don't have the X100VI, but I used to use the X100V and the GR3 side by side. So I will mostly focus on the feature that made me choose the Ricoh this time. Fuji has more megapixels, longer battery life, fantastic ergonomics, and many more technical features that will outshine the Ricoh. But the main reason I went with the GR is the size. The GR4 is truly pocketable. This thing is 250 grams, it weighs nothing. The X100 is still very compact, but it does not fit in your jeans, so the chance that you will leave it at home is higher. And I don't need another camera that I need to carry on my neck or need a bag for it. I just want a camera that fits in my pocket. No one sees me when I use the Ricoh. It disappears in my hand. I'm just like a musician. One moment I'm there, and the next moment I'm gone. And even people who see me think that I'm some amateur with a small pocket camera and just ignore me. The X100 series is very visible, and because of its beautiful design, it even attracts unnecessary attention. The second reason is the 28mm focal length. It is wider and more immersive than the 35mm equivalent Fuji, which is a versatile all-rounder but not wide enough for me. Especially when you're getting very close to people, the 28mm shines. Another reason is the RAW files. The new X100VI cameras are 40 megapixels, and the RAW files are huge. The GR ones are half in size, and that is a lot, especially when you're traveling. It really saves you on storage space. The files out of the Ricoh have more clarity and feel sharper. Overall, I like the RAW files out of the Ricoh GR more. They need far less editing than the Fujifilm ones, but if you want to shoot JPEG only, Fujifilm wins there big time. I think that the key decision factors would be the Ricoh GR if you want camera that you will actually carry every single day with you. This is its power and its unique feature. I will be using the Ricoh in moments when I don't want to take any heavy camera with me or when I'm scouting for locations. For the rest, I will still use my main full-frame Nikon with 35 or 50mm lens, but I will have the Ricoh in my pocket if I need to just snap something quickly or find myself on a smaller alley. So it makes a great second camera without being a second camera. I would get the X100 if you want all-in-one. Primary camera that produces great JPG files and looks and feels like a classic piece of machinery. The Fuji, thanks to its ergonomics, provides more traditional photographic experience, and that's its power. Okay, so why did I pay $1,500 for such a limiting camera? First one is that I like limiting cameras. A camera with a fixed lens that forces you to shoot in a certain way will always win my heart more than a do-it-all one. Such a camera just pushes you to learn how to use it properly. The 28mm is within the range of the focal lengths I like to work with, so it's just in my domain. It is silent, but most of all, it's invisible. When you shoot with a camera like that, you don't announce yourself as a photographer. You just take pictures. No one will consider you as a photographer, just a weird tourist with a small camera. I often take pictures very close to the people and they just don't see me. I don't hide, it just looks like I had extended my hand for a second, but I actually took a shot. The Ricoh GR is a camera that can always be in your pocket, which is huge and massive benefit. There is a saying that the best camera is the one that you have with you, so why not having this little beast of a camera in your pocket? Now I have a word of caution. Choosing the Ricoh GR as a camera has a long-lasting effect of the way you compose. I call it the camera that destroyed my eye. After using the GR3 for a few years, I've gotten used to use the back screen for composition rather than the viewfinder, and that has two main impacts. First, I did become very good at being aware of the overall shapes and balance on a small screen, but that also made my composition sloppier. Often images would need a slight crop and straightening. I know that for many of you, these are not serious issues to consider, but the camera really changes the way you shoot. You need to be aware of that before bringing it home. So does the Ricoh GR4 worth that high price? It's a 600 jump from the previous version. For an upgrade that comes after 6 years, it feels to me that the updates are a little bit underwhelming. Yes, I'm excited about the internal storage, but the rest is just marginal updates, making that high price a little bit hard to justify. Do I think that it was that amount of money? I don't know, but it's a unique product with no real competition. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Perhaps in the future we'll bring some new options to the table and then we will see again, but for now, this is what we have, this camera. I hope it was helpful. Happy shooting and see you next time.